Well, good morning, and this is week 2 of our Advent devotionals. I have with us our Charlie, our King Charles Cavalier. He's a service dog, and he seems to always be ready for anything. He lives in the moment, looking at and thinking about whatever that I might have need. I find that he's never really thinking ahead. He's not thinking about food or about his treats. He's not thinking about whether he's going to go on a walk or go outside. He doesn't worry or think about his bed or whether he's going to snuggle or not. He doesn't think about those in any form at all. And he greets the day enthusiastically because his job is to serve. But you see, we as humans, we tend to look to the future. I can remember 40 years ago, eager in my first year pastoring a small church in Napanee, Indiana. I found myself standing behind the pulpit my first Sunday there with weeks and weeks of preparation for what I thought would be the most important first sermon that they would ever hear. However, despite all the planning and ahead of time, I found myself not ready for the pastorate in many other ways. You see, being ready for an event is a multifaceted job. We must be mentally ready. We must be rested, and we also must be alert. Be physically ready, caring for our bodies, but we also need to have that curiosity for what the unknown might be. In fact, it's not healthy unless we acknowledge some apprehension, especially about events that we don't know how they're going to turn out. We must be financially ready. And not only that, we also need to be relationally ready, not only with God and with nature, but also relationally ready with others. We have to be relationally in tune with where we find ourselves, to be emotionally ready as well, acknowledging that we each carry baggage along with us that sometimes allows the worries of the day to well up inside of us. Always asking the question, are we being realistic? Are we being true with ourselves? And we also must be spiritually ready, attuned to our needs and how we can deal with the needs that we have while working at meeting what God is asking for us to be. You see, stepping onto that road of Advent is an opportunity as well as a challenge. I like what the psalmist says, because the psalmist says that in the midst of the journey of life, there is a longing for restoration, a longing for God's light to shine on us. God regrets sometimes that we allow our suffering to overwhelm us on this journey and this path of life, a path that includes God's favor on us. And God also desires for us to live in the promise that if we stay on the path with God, if we follow the ways of Christ, then our journey will certainly be a pleasant experience. I find it in this time of uncertainty, in this time of COVID-19, in this pandemic, that it's curious. It's hard to be curious. I feel like so many of us spend so much effort at just surviving and keeping up with the tasks of the day that we have little time to wonder, much less to make progress on this road of life and this journey towards spiritual maturity. And sometimes I even ask myself, do I even want to be on this road? And this road, it seems harder than it's ever been before. You see, fortunately, we know that the end of this road that we call Advent, Jesus is there. Jesus arrives. As we walk, and maybe as some of us limp, or as some of us roll down the road, or crawl or creep down this road to readiness, I think of the many ways in which we can get ready. Some of the ways I've already mentioned. Taking care of yourself, looking to God to restore the relationships that may have been frayed during this pandemic season, looking at ways to draw ourselves to be closer to Christ, to be in tune with our Savior. Earlier I mentioned a psalm. I'd like to read that psalm in closing. Listen to Psalm 80. Give ear, O shepherd of Israel, you who led Joseph, you who are enthroned upon the cherubim set forth before Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh. Stir up your might and come to save us. Here's the words I talked about. Restore us, O God, and let your face shine that we may be saved. O Lord of God of hosts, how long will it take for the prayers of your people to be heard? For you have fed them with the bread of tears and given them tears to drink in full measure. You make us the scorn of our neighbors. Our enemies laugh among themselves. But our request is, O God of hosts, restore us, and let your face shine that we might be saved. Let your hand be upon the one at your right hand, the one whom you made strong for yourself. And only then we will never turn back from you. Give us life, and we certainly will call upon your name. So once again, most holy God, the Lord of all hosts, restore us and let your face shine, that we may be on the journey and the road to salvation. Rest in peace, my friends, in the promise that God will restore, and that we can be on this journey together, growing more like Christ.